Hey, so on July 13, 2023, Google announced updates to Google Bard, and some of them are very interesting, and I want to walk you through those in this video. Um, so first thing you notice is there are a few changes in the UI. Earlier on the what they call the hamburger menu on the left, there were things like reset chat, so that's gone. Instead, what you have is a list of recent conversations you had with Bard, and you can pick up from any point. So, for example, a little earlier, I was trying out this thing called singularity, right? Explain the concept of singularity. I asked two, three questions. It came back with something, and if I want to continue that conversation, I can do that here, which I think is very cool. And if you want to start a new chat, you just go to the new chat button, and then you've got a fresh conversation with no context that you can now build on. So that's cool. A couple of other changes we will walk you through in the settings. It's pretty much the same thing. There's something called your public links. We'll talk about that soon. Um, the other big announcement was that about 40 new languages are being supported now. So let me try with one of my favorite foreign languages, right? So let's go with French and say c'est quoi le 18e arrondissement, right? So we're asking here, what is the 18th arrondissement? I've heard this word, what is it about? And asking the question. And what you'll notice is that it is answering back in the same language that you are asking it in, right? So here it says le 18e arrondissement de Paris et le 20 arrondissement de la ville, right? So there are 20 arrondissements, whatever, in Paris. This is one of them. Beautiful one, I must say. So French is supported. Let me check another one. So this one, I was a little surprised to see this, but very pleasantly surprised. And one of the things that struck me is how, with this kind of technology, generative AI and LLM, you're not custom building support for multiple languages, but you're just feeding a whole bunch of language into this model, and then it's figuring it out. So it's this turnaround for 40 new languages has been very quick, possibly compared to other tools that incorporate languages with earlier technology. So that's something interesting from a technology perspective. So here I'm asking the question, Godfather in the cinema in the Kurichana, which is saying, what is this movie called Godfather about, right? So when I ask a question, the answer I get is about the movie Godfather, but the one from Hollywood. Okay, so trust me on this. This is something about the Hollywood movie, right? So it says Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola Samvedana Chase. The movie directed by Francis Ford Coppola, clearly, which is the Hollywood movie. Now, incidentally, there is also a Malayalam movie called Godfather, not as serious, not as intense, it's more of a comedy. So, what I've done here, next one, is I'm asking Godfather and the Malayalam cinema in the right? So, which says I put in the word Malayalam here, and what I've done also is I've used mixed language, right? So, I've got a little bit of Malayalam, I've got a little bit of English. And let me see what the response is. So if it is doing a good job, it should be returning me information about the Malayalam movie called Godfather, not the one by Francis Ford Coppola. This is weird. Okay. Incidentally, the last time that I did this, it gave me a perfect answer, which is something that surprises me each time, right? Why does it sometimes say, hey, we find nothing at all? If it gave me something slightly wrong, maybe I would be okay. So this is more of the right answer, where it says Godfather in the 1991 പുറത്തിറങ്ങിയ ഒരു മലയാളം സിനിമയാണ് സിദ്ദീഖ് ലാൽ സംവിധാനം ചെയ്ത ഈ ചിത്രത്തിൽ NN Pilla, all of that. Okay, so this is the appropriate answer for this. Okay, so in the last time I tried it, this gave me this answer right off the bat, right? In this time though, this time around, I'm having to kind of choose a different draft. So again, going back to the idea of LLM output is not perfect, is not factual necessarily. You need to play around with it to make sure that it gives you an appropriate kind of answer. Okay, so this was a good example of that. And just to inform the model, hey, you know what, this was actually the right response. I've given a thumbs up for that, right? So hopefully the next time around it'll be the this answer that shows up. But even then, I'm quite impressed to see that, you know, it's used mixed language input and given me a appropriate output in the language I prefer. Okay. Let me try this something else in Espanol. Let me try it in Spanish. Escríbeme un poema en español sobre la danza, right? Write me a poem in Spanish about dance. So here it is, claro que sí, aquí tienes. Okay. La danza es el arte de expresar los sentimientos a través del movimiento. Very cool, right? So again, it's doing Spanish. Let's try a couple of other ones. In this case, what I'm doing is, again, I'm using mixed language, but I'm starting with English. And then I'm going to a language called Tamil. Okay, so MGR Patri Solungal, which is tell me about MGR. And MGR is a very prominent personality in Tamil Nadu. He was an actor, he was a chief minister, a very famous politician. Okay. So even with mixed language, even starting with English characters, it has given me an appropriate language response. Okay. So MGR alladu Manadur Gopalan thing or Indian nadigar. Yeah, so he's a or Indian nadigar, Rasiyalwadi. He's a actor. He's a politician, and he lived between these years and all of that. Okay, so it's given a appropriate answer. Let's try another one in Kannada. I'm just trying different languages. Like, will this work or not? Okay. So here I'm saying. ಮುಂಗಾರು ಮಳೆ ಚಿತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಜನಪ್ರಿಯ ಹಾಡು ಯಾವುದು, right? In the movie ಮುಂಗಾರು ಮಳೆ, which is the famous song, and here it says ಮುಂಗಾರು ಮಳೆ ಚಿತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ, so ಜನಪ್ರಿಯ ಹಾಡು was ಮುಂಗಾರು ಮಳೆ. So it's a very title song called ಮುಂಗಾರು ಮಳೆ. Perfect, right? That is the right answer. Let me also try something in Hindi. क्या फिल्म कुछ कुछ होता है एक मर्डर मिस्ट्री है? इस कुछ होता है मर्डर मिस्ट्री, एंड इट सेज नहीं, कुछ कुछ होता है एक मर्डर मिस्ट्री नहीं है, ये एक रोमांटिक कॉमेडी है. सो आई थिंक दैट लेज टू रेस्ट दैट conspiracy theory that came out recently, which I found very amusing, and I think which is actually the underlying meaning. But hey, Bart says it's a romantic comedy. Cool. So this is very nice. This is now available in 40 languages in many more countries. I think about 25-30 countries, something. Actually more than that, right? I think all the countries in Europe are covered, and of course many more. Then let's try the next thing. So there is integration of Google Lens. So now we can put in like pictures into it and have it describe that to you, right? So let me try this one. In this case, I am going to open up thing and say, okay, pull out this thing about, there's an image, right? So it's got a cycle in it and some stairs and all of that, and we are asking it to describe it. So I can say, describe this picture for me. So let me see what this does. Okay. Now, underlying technology, I don't know exactly how this is working. My assumption here is that it is running through some kind of identifying objects inside the picture and then maybe passing it to the LLM. Does the LLM technology have the ability to understand pictures on its own and then do it? I think it's possible. I was talking to some people and they did show me some code which was similar to that, but I don't exactly know how this is working. But this is pretty cool. It's described this picture where you're saying, there's a red bicycle standing in front of something, etc., etc. It's taken from a low angle, pretty cool. And this is the kind of things that you can use now to, if you're building products that uses Google's technology, you can have it describe it, right? So for example, if you've got a product on your catalog, right? So give it to that, it describes it, and you can put it in the you can put it in your catalog description. Okay, let me try another one which is a little tougher. I like to play around with some easy ones, some tough ones usually, just so that we get an idea of the range of stuff it is capable of and whether it is actually reasonable or not, right? So the previous one is reasonable. The second picture is way more tougher, right? There's a lot of black, there's not much lighting, and there might be things that it misses, right? So there's tall skyscrapers, rivers, and all of that. So this one again shows the right thing. It says aerial view, city of night, bathed in light, is taken a high vantage point, all of that. The image is likely of Dubai, maybe it is, I don't really know, etc. Right? So pretty cool that is able to now describe images too. So there's an integration of Google Lens and Google Bard, right? The language model to it. Again, I wonder what the integration is with the underlying technology. I'll be curious to look at that later on. Then it is possible to share these conversations or these responses, right? A prompt response where you can say, I can share it publicly, right? So I want to put it and give it to somebody else. I can send them a link and say, hey, go check this thing that I have. Okay, so I can do that and create a public link, and later on I can also see my public link. So if I want to share it with somebody, I can share it here directly. So that's pretty cool. Of course, you can also send it to other places. Like for example, if this was something that you wanted to create a new document about, you can do that, right? So if I say, okay, I've got this image here, now it's creating this document, and then it'll give me a link saying, okay, open this document, right? So I've got that. I can use that as a base for further work. All right, cool. Then what else? And of course, your public links are also going to show up. So if I've shared something, this is the only one that I've shared right now. I can do that, right? So I can go back and then reuse that. In this case, I just want to delete it. I will go ahead and do that. Cool. Then the last thing that I kind of wanted to show you was how you can modify your responses. Okay. Or before that, in sharing code, of course, this was there before also. So for example, if you had some Python code, you can actually share that with, say, Colab. Right now they're bringing in additional integration. So if you wanted to use this code in say a Python notebook, you can do that, right? So it gives you that directly in the thing, and you can run it over here. It doesn't make much sense running this one, but just demonstrating that it is possible. Okay, so multiple ways in which you can share it. The last one I will walk you through is let us just pick this one. Okay, so let me go with explain the concept of singularity, but I'll delete that and start over. I'll say start over, and I say explain the concept of singularity. Okay, so it comes up with an explanation of singularity, which has multiple meanings in multiple places, right? So for one of the things is obviously about AI, and there is a theoretical aspect of singularity, right? So let me change that, and let me say, what I actually want to know. Instead of editing it in place, let me go put a new one. Say express the concept of singularity, say with respect to black holes. All right. So it gives me an explanation now, less about AI and the idea of, or the theoretical concept of singularity, to how it works specifically with respect to black holes. Okay, so as usual, you're able to modify this. You could have done this before too. But what is new now is the ability to give instructions to it to make it shorter, longer, simpler, more casual, more professional. Okay, so for example, this one is fairly long and maybe I don't want to read so much. You could have put this in the instruction saying, explain it to me briefly. Right? You could have said that. Alternatively, now, if you want a visual approach, you can say, just make it shorter. Okay. So this should give you a shorter view of it, and you can, I think, a couple of times, maybe you can make it shorter and shorter before, of course, the detail of the response is lost. Then you can make it more casual, you can make it simpler. So if you say, explain to me like a 5-year-old, right? That could have been an instruction earlier. Now it is a click in a menu item, right? So that's how you can modify the response. So pretty cool stuff. These are all the new things. So some minor improvements to the UI. A list of recent conversations, the ability to start a new chat from here with new context, multiple language support. It also has the ability to speak out the answer, right? So for example here, with the French question, I can say, hey, you know what, tell me what this is about. Speak it out to me. Yeah. And you might not be able to hear it right now, but it is speaking this response outright. I haven't included the computer output in the recording. So that's another way you can, that's another new feature that is there. Cool. And the ability to share it and create things like docs and share it to Colab, and now there are newer integrations to it. Cool. So really nice new features that you should definitely play around with. Okay, cool. Best of luck. Let me know all the things that you're doing with Bard. I'll be interested to hear. Right. Until another time. Bye bye.